Ah, fancy seeing you again. See, you've got in from the ring too. Still don't talk much, do you? Well, come join me for a drink. So, where was I in our story? Ah, now I remember. We're getting to the good parts. The parts with murder, intrigue, a fair amount of drinking, singing, battles, orcs and other magical creatures, and a lot of mud. So, we continue the noobs at LARP.
Okay, and welcome back. We're going to now get into
The LARP proper.
the LARP proper.
So I turn up second because
Okay,
you'll
so
learn
hold
that
on.
I'm always
Hold on,
last.
This is what, April in the UK.
Yeah,
2 weeks before,
a week before.
a week before, it was the hottest day of that day for like 50, 60 years or something ridiculous.
Crazy.
Right? Baking hot.
I got sunburn.
Everyone got sunburn. It was awesome. It was great.
Yeah.
So a week before the LARP, we're like, rain isn't something that we're not even contemplating it as being an issue. It could shower a little bit on one of the days.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was going to be a light sort of rain.
Just,
I thought it was going to be like
just
touches of rain.
Maybe a bit like like in those old like Braveheart or some shit. There's a slight little.
A little bit of mizzle, bit of stuff to wet the ground, make it slick, ready for the
to
blood.
make the beards a bit moister, but nothing to really worry anyone about.
Yeah, and it didn't go that way.
And how wrong we were.
Yeah, it did not go that way. It went the complete opposite way. 180'd on that into just horrendous saturation of the ground.
But I think the build-up, we were all still. I mean, it's a very different thing from being excited about planning LARPing.
Yeah.
Than to actually have you the day before, because all the guys came over my flat before.
It's true. Yeah.
And then we hung out and we had a couple of drinks and we talked a lot about our expectations, what we're looking forward to, a few bits and pieces. Ian let slip he'd communicated with a player.
Yes, that was an interesting one.
And
you thought it was multiple players as well.
Well, you were very shady about it.
I thought it was best to be shady about it, though.
No, I liked it, though. It was good.
It was good, because I didn't want to just say, I've done this, and this
a
is
little
what
bit
I'm
of
saying.
prep RP, as you like to, you could say.
kind of, my character has like a dash of purple, which kind of is a colour of a different nation called Eurozone. And I wanted to kind of have that aspect kind of shown in my character. Yeah,
purple thing was about.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. I had this. I need to get a much better version of it, but I just didn't have time to make one. But a sort of cloak that's green, but on the inside it's got some purple on it.
Wow, I don't know. Will you get in trouble for that? Is that something?
And it's I don't know. I don't think so. It's because I could just be a Navarre who's a little bit more flamboyant, which in a way I guess I kind of am.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like.
All right. So the guys stay at mine. We end up in the morning, probably later than we should have done because we stayed up so late, having a really, really good time. Maybe a couple of drinks more than we should have done. Headed out in the morning, and it was already coming down.
Yeah.
Right. So me and Bung in my car.
Yeah.
We roll down there with the tent and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And already, as we're approaching the actual campsite itself, you can already see that this area is a muddy land. Right, from the pristine fields, there is more and more mud. There's mud on the roads. And they basically, when you come up, they're very, very polite. They have a really efficient.
Right? Yeah, we'd forgotten our PIDs, by the way. Do remember your PID when you're going.
But they were so efficient about it.
Almost didn't matter.
I was just like, "What's your name?" And bam, and they were like, "Okay, bam, here's your number." Wrote it on a bit of paper, stuck it in my window. Away I go.
Yeah,
and it was
great.
So easy. So me and Bung drive down. We're like, where's the Navarre camp? They're like, by the trees. So we pull up, get out, and we want to go and see the lay of the land first.
Yeah.
Talk to whoever's looking after the tents and stuff, and head through a little gateway into a wooded section where there's a whole bunch of people, tents everywhere. There's awnings. There's like stuff over fire.
Incredible.
It was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves came to mind immediately. It was awesome.
And had you stepped out of the woods at that point and seen the kind of wider camp?
Yeah, we
had
parked on the edge near where the wider.
That was a sight.
Yeah, it a couple of full fields, and they're just like this. They're not full of tents, but big, like the main strip area is incredible.
It looks like a small town, right? Or a big town, actually.
It feels like a Wild West town almost.
Yeah,
it's all
great.
Looks
as a visual spectacle. I think that's one thing I do regret a bit. I didn't take as much time to visually take it all in because the rain was kind of mizzling so bad it kind of forced my head down a bit.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, I wish I'd spent a bit more time just sort of looking out at it because visually it's quite a thing.
So we get there and we're walking around this campsite, right? And we ask for whoever's in charge of the camping arrangements.
Right.
So this big guy, he's a big guy, comes over and he's like, who are you guys? And we say, well, we're the Ashbourne, right?
Yeah.
Which is the name of the striding that we're in, right?
Yeah.
The little group that we created for ourselves.
Yeah.
And he went, you're the Ashbourne? Yeah. They're the fucking Ashbourne. And we're like, you what? And he's like, yeah, like, did you not, you should have let people know you can't just add yourselves to another group. Like, whenever you have to ask them and stuff. And I was like, no, man, we did it we created a group, we joined that group, we just put it all on the Facebook forums and stuff, all that stuff, like tent arrangements. Yeah. I felt pretty confident where I was talking to this guy from, right? And he seemed pretty miffed that another guy just showing up like a proper noob and just taking himself on board to join another group. Yeah. So they took us over to the Ashbourne, right? And there was a couple of really nice people. They were absolute delight. So we went over there and they said, these are the Ashbourne. And we're like, hi. And they're like, no, what? You're the Ashbourne? And I went, yeah. So we started chatting and they immediately were like, well, did you just want to join our group? Which is like really nice, crazy nice. And we're like, I can't really speak for all of us. But at that stage, I was already like...
up for it, yeah.
Because they were that nice people, I was like, well, you would have worse luck settling them with those sort of people. I mean, like, they were so nice. Yeah. Anyway, so we talked about how we came up with the name of Ashbourne. I went through a bit of our backstory. They went through a bit of their backstory. And then I'm like, wow, that's really crazy how similar... Like, they're the different stories, but they have a similar heart to them, and I was like, wow, this is... it's really interesting that we've made these two groups. And then they started talking about, do you have a mask? And I was like... Well, no, I didn't think we had to get masks. So, well, we'll have to get you a mask, and they seemed pretty miffed off about that. And they said, oh, well, you can buy one here, and da-da-da-da. And I was like, all right, sweet. And it just fucking dawned on me. It clicked. And I went, are you guys orcs? And they were like, yeah. Who the fuck are you? And we're like, we're Navarre. And they were like, no way. I'm like, fuck, well, it's not a great start to our first interaction while LARPing is to walk into the orc camp. Not wearing their masks, obviously, and then us just have a bit of a meet up with them. Amazing. We'll get to orcs later.
Great people.
But really nice.
Really great.
Really great. And the fact they dress up in those scary masks all weekend and act like orcs the whole weekend is amazing.
Amazing.
So then finally me and Bungle head up to the camp. The rain, it's already anarchy inside the camp. Like, we asked around to see if where's a good place to tent or whatever, and they said, pitch wherever. So we just headed to the back, just out of the way. Pitched our tent. Me and Bung were pitching up when you arrived. Actual unloading wasn't too bad, right? We were just...
You guys, well, the fact Bung had put up quite a few tents before, he just zipped that thing up super quick.
Because he was like, usually I'm like one of those people that tends to be a bit shouty and a bit bossy, and I tend to, take the lead on a lot of stuff. When it came to putting that tent up, it was Bung's world.
You just stepped back, dude.
When he told me to do something, I just followed his instructions to the letter.
And it was up in minutes.
Oh, it was so fast and so
we got this, and I have to say the tent was a real star.
4-meter bell tent.
With a sewn-in ground sheet. Mm-hmm. Made it super easy. I mean, there were issues with the camping sort of situation as a result of the weather, but not with the tent. The tent was fucking fantastic.
Awesome.
I really recommend something like that if you're going to go.
3 of us, we got camping beds.
Oh, yeah.
Put the camping beds out.
Yeah.
We had a crap load of booze. Yeah. We had food. Something we missed in the pre-LARP. I made beef jerky, and you packaged up like trail mix and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Beef jerky, amazing treat.
Yeah.
Colossal pain in the arse to make.
Yeah, it was very popular though. We could have made a lot more money.
I think do you know what? It was worth it.
It was worth it. Yeah.
Okay. Here's I think our second noob tip.
Yeah.
Is bring something along to sell it.
Yeah.
If you don't sell it, just fucking give it away.
Yeah.
Just fucking meet nice people, chat to them, and give them some shit and build some relationships.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like that is. We had such a good time with the jerky. It was, and people
are so generous.
I look shifty as a human being, right? Like there's something about me that I might not be up to it. No, good. I don't know whether I would buy beef jerky off me, right? I don't know whether I would, but you got me like these beautiful little envelopes that are like self-sealing.
Yeah, I wanted to get sort of brown envelopes so they kind of looked a little bit period.
And then you stuck the label on it with a nice little Ashbourne, what was it, Ashbourne grill?
Ashbourne grill, yeah.
And then perfectly lit thing, had a measuring thing, weighed out the amounts, put them on the thing, sealed them up, and looked at them, and they were like, shit looks legit.
Yeah.
Looks really good. Really and we legit. Had a few people when we were like giving away or selling it. Actually, the one I did sell it to, which was a Dawn player, because, you know what I'm saying, so if you get chatting to a lord...
Yeah. That was really cool. What a nice dynamic that was to have this idea of like they will overpay
people
unless they're being watched, and that's really cool. That's really cool.
To be fair, they were smart. Yeah. It was the other guy. I don't
held
know.
actually the purse strings.
Is it the steward or something?
Steward, yeah.
He had the money.
Yeah.
So the guy was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to buy from beef jerky, but he's the guy with the money." So I was like,
"But what a cool
shit!
thing.
I could have fucking fleeced that guy." But
it's so cool. It makes you think like if only you could be in a position where somehow you managed to get him to take charge of his own purse strings. You could talk him around it, and the fact that he'd be willing to do it.
The R.P. people.
It's great. People are so generous.
Some people will fuck themselves over while RPing.
But that's
what
great, right?
Yeah,
I mean, this is the thing I have with when you're playing an online computer. Sorry, like a computer game. Sorry, not online. Like just a role-playing computer game. I like the idea of role-playing a character through it, and that sometimes you'll take the suboptimal choice. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you'll choose to actually take an experience maybe away from the game, an encounter or an item or a thing that you won't get because it's what your version of Commander Shepard would do, or something like that. You know what I mean? But the interesting thing with LARP is, while doing that can in some ways in a computer game mean that you lose part of the experience, in LARPing it opens up a whole new experience, which is just like you being generous as a player with your RP opens up a lot of stuff.
Well, I thought there's a lot down that road, right? That's just kind of... Yeah, let's move. Okay. Yeah. So we get set up. We got all the stuff in the tent. Everything's gravy, right?
Yeah.
And then we decide to suit up.
Yeah.
That
was cool. Did we put full armor on at that point? We did.
We put everything on.
We put everything on
Because the Navarre have a thing which is like
always ready.
Always ready, right?
Always ready.
We were like thinking, right, we need to be, and our RP is that we are soldiers that have been away for a long time, effectively scouts, right? So we're going to be dressed. We're not going to feel too comfortable, like our actual people who we are.
I think we chose a really nice backstory, and I think because we wanted to do this story of like being exiles. I won't go too much into backstory, but just to give you a perspective, because I think we liked the idea of having that sort of fish out of water experience coming back to explain some of the natural fish out of water stuff that you feel as players. We don't know anything,
right? We don't know anyone.
So originally we were going to do it that we were on a sea voyage and we got stranded on a mystery island, and it was going to be like we had adventures there and stuff, and it was going to be like, you know, it was kind of like a Skull Island, King Kong style thing going on.
Yeah.
That was a cool idea.
They come out at night, mostly.
It was a cool idea, but I can see why when I got in touch with them and said, would this be something that was cool, they were like, well, it doesn't actually fit with the canon of the game. So, but what they did do was this person in charge of, like, obviously sort of story and sort of new player help called Claire Evans got in touch.
Yes, we met
her. And she was fantastic, by the way, and just was, like, really generous with all my noob questions, and basically... obviously went to the people in charge of the story team and came back with us with this place called Hordland or Hordlant, I can't remember.
A lot of our pronunciations.
It's going to be awful, by the way.
They need to have one of those...
this is how you say the word bits after the words.
Yeah, like, that they had that YouTube channel where they just said every single word, how it should be pronounced. Yeah. We should have one of those for, like, just Empire, just so we...
I think that would be really useful, and it would be a hell of a lot of work, perhaps, but I think that would really help, because that is something... when you have to feel unconfident when you're about to say a name mid-RP, it does feel awkward. Yeah.
Valen,
yeah.
We had called it Valen for weeks. Valorn. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
Valorn.
But yeah, I mean, so that would be really cool. But anyway, so it was kind of this story of then got a change to us actually being stuck behind enemy lines on the outskirts of, outside the Empire in this other place. And that helped actually unlike the previous idea I had, it actually helped give us a sort of a physical place in the Empire, and explained coming back, having spent 3 years outside the Empire, how that might naturally make us a bit standoffish of the Empire, and thus explain some of the player experiences that we were having.
Yeah, and I felt that.
I think it worked really well. I think it was a really good dynamic to go in with.
Okay, so we all suit up. Like we talked about before, with the fantasy of LARPing, like where you play it in your head before you even go to an event.
Yeah.
And then getting the stuff together, that's really exciting. That's a different thing because it's now becoming more real.
The hype.
The day before, that's another reality wall that you basically drive through. Like, think of you driving a car.
There's a bit of fear.
Smashing through different walls, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then that suiting up, 15 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Here we fucking go.
That was really cool.
Right,
all of us just sitting in the tent, having suited up, and there was that we were just waiting for the call for RP beginning.
Oh, I was just like, I don't know. We were cold.
Yeah, it was cold.
We were cold
off
the
bat.
bat.
That point, yeah.
And I was just like, I was feeling. I'll tell you how I felt. No one was like, welcome to LARP. Here's where you should camp. If you have any questions, please ask us. There was none of that, right?
Which was actually really good.
Which was good, but actually, I was going, man, maybe we're in a fucking campsite full of dicks. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was worried that we were going to have a terrible time, right?
Yeah, I think there was that fear, and
what, someone's going to RP at me?
Yeah,
and I'm just going to stand there like a deer caught in headlights, and I don't know what to say to them. Like I like an actor, but I don't know if you've ever done any acting, but before you walk out on stage, very similar.
There
right?
is. I think it is a type of stage fright, right? Like you're scared because you're putting a bit of your own kind of self
you're
on the line.
You're scared about getting rejected.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, it's like kind of stepping out of school and
being humiliated. Imagine if you walk out and then everyone just fucking laughs at you or just snipes your outfit or like whatever. It's a very delicate stage when you get to that point.
I think you are really shy and unconfident, and they do that sort of first player meeting thing before.
That was something we should talk about that, by the way. Yeah, we arrived possibly later than we should. Actually, to be fair, we should definitely talk about how everything in LARP takes way longer than you think it will.
Yeah.
Like,
especially in bad weather.
Here, I can literally stop now, go downstairs, get in my car, drive to Tesco, go and buy a bunch of crap, be back here in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You cannot get from one tent, put your boots on, put your gear on, and go to the shop and then be back again in 15 minutes. It will take you a fucking hour. Easy.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that is the weather as well. If the weather was better, and we'll say this a lot, I'm sure, if the weather was better, everything would be better. Mm-hmm. You know, and it you can see it was awesome, but you can also see how much more awesome it would be if you had the ability to comfortably just do things,
move freely, right?
Yeah.
So comes around, and then it's like they're like 15 minutes before game time or whatever. I can't remember what the actual call was.
Sure.
They made it very clear.
Yeah.
And then
and we're just sitting in the tent at that point, and the height and the fear is sort of building up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they call in game or in character has begun, and then we just decide to step out, and there's that little bit of you that's like, oh, I don't know if I want to step out because it's cold and wet, and I know if I have a bad time, it's going to be a really bad time because of the weather and all that shit. Yes. So there's just that natural hesitation involved in that. So we kind of head out the tent in silence, and then I know I'd taken us out just seconds before in character. Actually, that was it. And then rather than head to the circle immediately, I was like, we'll just do a little bit of RP.
I felt
here.
I was still. So distracted and unsure of what I was doing. This isn't like, the curtain pulled back and I stepped out and then I suddenly felt fine about RPing. That's not the story that I had, right?
No, I think so. The three of us stood outside the tent while they were doing the call down for the in-character moment. I said, we'll do a bit of RP ourselves when it kicks off, then we'll head over to the fire. Mm-hmm. And that was just to basically get us all talking. I felt was just to get her to say a word as our character to each other first, and then from there I felt we could kind of go on. And I got to say, actually, Dave, when it comes to the RPing during the thing, I think you really fucking, out of all of us, I think you really were great.
But it wasn't. Thank you.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. That wasn't easy.
No, it's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy.
So we come out.
Yeah.
They're like. And everyone's just standing around, like, right? It's like literally people, and there are a shit ton of new players.
Yeah.
There are a lot of new players, right? At the end of the stand-up that we had, which is where we're going to talk about a few things. At the end of the stand-up that they had, one person put their hand up and went, right, everyone that's new to Navarre, come over here and talk to me.
Yeah.
Half the people.
It was crazy. And you could hear all the other people who are obviously old-time players, they were like, wow, and laughing.
It was ridiculous.
It looked ridiculous.
And it was, I have to say, it felt slightly shaming to walk over and being, I'm in the noob club. It's my first day at school. Please don't pick on me.
And like, I think they were all laughing and stuff just because it was just a spectacle of seeing that many new people. I mean, it must be crazy. I mean, I think going back to that Hat Films video and things like that, and I think the hobby in itself, and because role playing and everything else is become more popular.
Things come at a time, right? Like like the Hat Films guys. Maybe Empire's where it needs to be. Maybe modern culture's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
But like, and I think there's certain people that I just wouldn't fucking try and explain what LARP is to. Exactly. But we got us involved.
Yeah.
And I would say that's like there's an acceptance line, and it passed over us, and now we're inside that thing where we're cool with it, you know.
And I think, I mean, it's weird stuff like Stranger Things having D&D in it and stuff, and having that as a feature, and sort of, you know, all that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of different factors.
But anyway, so we go up to the campfire, and obviously at that point, we get called away into the sort of the noob section.
But before that, chap comes running out with a bunch of arrows in him. That was the first thing that happened.
That was, So that was hats off to them, by the way. Also, there's this chap who had made this incredible kind of tree man, kind of dryad kind of outfit that was actually a briar who was heavily kind of briared.
Yeah, so just to quantify what we just said, there are different, like, so you have your different nations.
Yeah.
Separate from that, you have your, what they called, like, lineages, right? Yeah. And they are basically what sort of, you can get like snake guys, you can get
sea people and stuff.
There are some crazy creatures out there, little horns. Yeah. You have, and one of these is tree bark that kind of like grows out of the skin.
Yeah.
And there's a kind of the Valorn.
Yeah, Valorn. Yeah.
They are like creatures of the forest, and they basically create these abominations that kill people, right? However, are they connected to the briars?
No. So, I think that's one of the things, and one of the reasons our people have a natural kind of, well, not a natural, but that there is a sort of level of prejudice amongst the Navarre towards
I think
briars.
A lot of people have that though, because briars can eventually go crazy and start killing people.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't actually. That's the weird thing. I haven't read that much into it.
I did read it up on it.
Yeah. Well, of course,
one of the few things I have read, because it was directly involved me, so I read it.
That's great. But anyway, so this guy was really sort of. His costume looked incredible.
He looked like incredible. A Disney fucking tree creature, right? Yeah. Like incredible.
He could have been at a theme park, like with that outfit. Like, you know what I mean? Like as like one of those people who interacts with you. Like if you went to a one of those kind of professional scary house kind of things.
Dude, there's a guy who fucking dedicated to the fucking RP like a champ.
And anyway, so all of these players obviously dragged this injured person off to their tent. We're kind of interested.
I've been shot by arrows.
Yeah,
oh my god, there's a lot of screaming.
Yeah.
And they dragged them off to a camp, and then they were like, and we're following this.
Yeah.
Like we're like creepy people standing next to a car crash or something and just watching it, right? Because I don't know who this fucking guy is, and he stabbed up. A lot of people are very upset that he's been stabbed up, shot up. Shot isn't the word, is it?
Oh yeah, no, you shoot an arrow. You don't fire an arrow. Yeah.
I caught myself on the thing that I didn't want to get caught on.
That's true.
Drag him over. They're yelling, "Oh no, is anyone a physic or whatever?" Blah, blah, blah. And they were all standing there. I just turned to Ian. I go like, "You're a physic.
Get in there."
Come on.
So, but what this situation was a bunch of players who had, as a group, decided that this person was going to come dead, and that they had a person already lined up, I imagine, to come and heal them. And this was this guy who was dressed in this tree outfit. And that would be a kind of a cool way of them bringing each other into the story.
I didn't know that was him.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. Wasn't the guy there?
No,
the guy was there.
No. So the guy who pulled the arrows or tried to pull the arrows, that was the guy in all the tree barky stuff. Yeah.
But that's the guy that died.
No, not him that died. It was just one of their friends.
Right, yeah. I was going to say.
Sorry, I must have confused you. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
No. So I'm there, and I'm like, I'm going to try and do my very first heal on this guy, and everybody's obviously RPing in, really well, because this is a moment for them. They've obviously had time to think about it and what they might do, how they might react. Maybe I don't know how. I mean, maybe I'm making complete guesses. That might have been a completely spontaneous thing that a certain number of players decided to drop on them. But anyway, I'm there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and do my newbie heal on this guy. And I'm like, he's got like actual physical arrows sticking out of him, by the way.
Yeah, they were like inside his tunic, right?
Such good work. So, as again, people were so generous with that kind of stuff. It was incredible. So I'm in there, and all of a sudden this other guy, this tree guy, comes down. He just sort of pushes my hands out of the way, and I'm happy with that because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And then he's like, does this epic thing about, I'm going to pull it out, and if I pull blood, you'll live. I pull bone, you die.
He did. Yeah.
And then he goes. And this guy's obviously screaming. He's got the blood capsules in his mouth. It's fucking fantastic. And they go to pull this arrow, and he's like, "No, it's bone. It's bone. It's so good." And it was just like, I know for you guys on the outside, maybe it didn't feel as intense, but for me in there, because I'm in the huddle.
Picture me and Bung standing there, like, just gormless expressions on our faces, just watching what the fuck's going on. And
they're all shouting over the top of me. Bear in mind, I'm probably in a deeply interpersonal player moment here as a complete stranger. I'm holding the guy's hand, like literally squeezing his hand as he dies as a character.
Right? Yeah,
and it was cool, man. And like, so afterwards, obviously, we kind of step back, and bear in mind, it obviously takes a while for the cogs to fire and realize this is a player created moment that probably doesn't tie into a broader story or whatever. But
that was one thing I was immediately like, oh fuck, is this like a first event thing where they who did it? Are we going to go for
it was
fight
like a
right
who
now?
done it story. That's what we were kind of thinking. And by the way, that would be really cool, by the way.
Starting an event
with a who done it event thing. That'd be so really
good.
cool.
And then have the murderer be someone out in Wintermark that you set this train of fucking letters up.
Yeah. Or like, imagine if you did something crazy, like it was like the Empress gets killed or something. Who killed the Empress kind of thing.
Whoever does, if not, I'm saying that anyone should.
No. We've never met the Empress, by the way, had any involvement with any part of that.
But she's the one that isn't covered in shit, basically, from what I understand from the other event. But if anyone did kill her, I hope that they do it in a extremely elaborate way.
I think it would be anyway, something like that. So we were thinking it was a whodunit story. So we kind of start asking, how did it happen? Who did it happen of? Obviously, it was all just supposed to be maybe like nothing or a storyline that we weren't privy to or whatever. So it was just like, okay. So I think we kind of all realised there was a kind of a gameish element of why we couldn't take the questions further going on. So we kind of, we sort of moved away. But we did
people kept talking about immediately a standing, which is there at the. I don't know what's like for other nations, but in Navarre, you'll go and stand around in the fire pit in the middle.
Yeah.
And they have a standing, and that basically involves each of the kind of top head people in the nation that have business to address to the nation. Either they want to muster more troops or just give a sit rep on what's going on,
situation, like the general reporting in and so on.
That's what they do. Yeah, right. So we were there, and nothing happened for a while, and eventually there was this meeting. Yeah. And it was the first time that we started to really engage in the world that we lived in. It became a lot more real. It became a very in the new player meeting. Yeah. One of the guys, I can't remember which guy it was, he said, whatever you do, my best piece of advice would be say yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really great bit.
Not like the Budweiser advert, just say yes or whatever. We're talking about if someone's talking to you and they say, come and do this thing, just say yes. And that happened very specifically at one stage on the Saturday, which was a great piece of advice and changed the whole weekend for us, I would say. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, for you especially.
Especially for me. It put a lot of stuff into things all matched up over the whole weekend. It was anyway. So I have this standing, and it was really interesting to see these heads of a nation, right? Like
you were seeing players who've been there for a while,
but they carry this kind of. Some of those people, I don't know. Okay, there's one thing I'm curious about with LARP. These people were like bold and brave, and like. They were just like these big charismatic figures. And I'm just like really curious about who they are as people. Yeah. Right? Like it's kind of like, because they're a fucking big deal. As a new player, they were like, I looked at them and I was just like, they're who my nation is, right? Like, and it was like a really interesting thing. And I liked what I saw, basically.
Yeah.
There were some really cool individuals in that group.
Well, I think both of us as well. I mean, I talked about earlier about some of my fears about joining Navarre, but that was based off kind of the theme of Navarre. But there was also a fear, I think, of like what it would be like to play with the Navarre and be part of the Navarre. Because the experience on the, I mean, I don't think it's really, but like the experience on the forum and stuff, you're kind of like, oh, okay, how's this going to actually play out on the field and things. But I think it actually ultimately when you get there, it was great.
Do not judge any group of people off their online activities.
Yeah,
because
it's not like all of those.
There are really cool people.
Yeah,
but then there are like a very small group of people that kind of.
I don't know that. Yeah, I think it's just an overzealousness, right? And I think all online communities are like that to a certain extent.
I was worried about that when I went, but that was really quickly evaporated.
Yeah.
The checks and balances that they have quite a strict what's it called, a policy for behavior policy or whatever.
Yeah.
But as soon as you go into it, you're like, all of this makes sense.
Yeah.
All of this especially makes sense in the context of LARP. Right? Like there's the measures that they've put in, you can't be actually sexist.
Yeah.
You can't be actually racist.
Yeah.
Right? You can go, I fucking hate orcs.
Yeah.
Right? That's fine.
Yeah.
But you can't say you hate him because of the actual colour of his skin or his gender or whatever.
Exactly.
And it was like, good.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it should be. If you come to an event like that with that attitude, that person is going to go straight to a referee.
Yeah.
They're going to explain to them what happened, and then a world of shit is going to come down on you.
Yeah.
And everyone around will feel justified that shit lands on you because you're an asshole. And it's just like that's. So, I think that was our initial worry when we first went.
Yeah.
Quickly dispensed.
Yeah.
And then what did we do the first night?
So basically, bear in mind Friday, we kind of get out of that sort of meeting of a standing. Then they're calling that at a certain time there's going to be the battle, the Friday battle, that we'd hear about it later. So we just had a little wander around.
Was that the battle day?
Yeah.
Oh snap!
That was the monstering.
Yeah,
battle.
So we did a bit of wandering around.
Yeah.
We got. Did we get whatever? There's food.
Got
there.
some food. Great food, by the way.
Yeah, the food. I was like, a lot of stuff is like about £7, and you're like, oh, how big is that? £7 is a meal.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's good.
Yeah, shit's good. We had noodles, we had pizza. It was a good time. Came to what Bung didn't go. I can't remember why.
Because of his dreadlocks, and it was because it was raining pretty bad at this point.
And anyone that's got dreadlocks and they land them in mud, bad things will happen.
So basically, we found out that we would be doing a thing called monstering in the first battle on the first day.
Yeah, which is they have two enormous battles. Yeah, right.
One on
Friday and Sunday.
Yeah. I think I might be getting the timeline wrong, but I can't remember.
Was it Saturday morning, the battle?
Might have been Saturday morning as the.
I feel like it was Saturday morning.
Yeah, you're probably right.
This is 3-4 days ago. This is another thing that we should talk about later is how your memory relays what happened to you at the LARP.
I think that's because it's quite intense, actually.
Jesus,
it is quite intense.
I think Friday, didn't we just wander about? Yeah. And then we tried to get into the Orc camp.
Yeah, couldn't they? They were away and they were doing obviously various other things.
And then, they have a doorman.
That was so cool. You should talk about that. So
we should. Okay, should I just blast through the whole Orc thing?
Yeah, go for it.
So the Orcs have their own camp, and in the evening anyway, I think most of the day, and I think pretty short, right?
Yeah.
There's a guard, like a doorman, on the fucking door, and Orcs look fucking terrifying, right?
Yeah.
They are, and also. How many 7-foot tall dudes attend LARP?
Yeah,
all across the place.
You will find guys
like legit monstrous, scary-looking giant people. Some of them look like absolute heroes. They're so good-looking. Other guys are like big and tough-looking. But there's like a load of 7-foot dudes attend LARP, and they add flavour. They really bring context to.
It does.
You're the biggest guy in the village. It would take me and both my homeboys to even stand a chance against you, and I still think you'll win. You're so
good.
You're an enormous killing
There's a
machine.
guy in Navarre called like the Lion of Astilia or something.
The fucking Lion of Astilia.
Or something like I probably got his name wrong, but
he's a big guy and he's got a big weapon and I would not fuck with that hombre.
No.
Jesus.
He does it so well, and it's just the fact he's got a name that people know and shit.
People
It's
sing
just
songs
like,
about him, Ian. People sing songs about that man.
he literally is in a
he's
verse of the
that
song.
Fucking tough. Orcs, right? So we go and see the orcs. The guy's like, "Who is it?" We're like, "It's the Ashbourne. Here to see the Ashbourne." And the guy's like, "Oh right, well bear with." He buggers off, comes back.
Yeah.
We drag this little orc crowd around us. What do you mean they're the Ashbourne and they're the Ashbourne? I'm like, yeah, that's why we're here to talk to them about it. And it just... We went back a couple of times, right? At different times to see if we can talk to them. And I think generally, hopefully they weren't blocking
Trying to
us.
avoid us, yeah.
But the orcs were so fucking good RP.
The
So
doorman
I'm talking
stuff
to
was
them.
amazing.
So I'm talking to the doorman the entire time. And it's like, but there's another orc that is literally on my left shoulder, pushing up against me,
so good.
breathing in my ear. And I basically went for they're trying to intimidate you, so don't look scared. And then just talk to them like you're just doing business with anyone. And then that's what I did. And I think if anyone's going to go and talk to the orcs,
I was scared.
just do that. If I didn't look scared, I was shitting my pants. Most definitely. Like, orcs are
so good.
I had a worry that they were just going to be like, right, just him, and then drag me away because I was at the front. I was like, they're just gonna drag me into a fucking circle and be like, all right, motherfucker, time to die. Orcs, awesome, amazing,
Awesome. I mean, and I think the orcs throughout the whole event. I mean, in a way, there wasn't actually that much time spent interacting with them.
They add
all of the time
they add a realism to the whole affair because there are real orcs and they move among us, and you can go to their camp and have a conversation with their doorman about it, and it's pretty cool.
Never even got in their camp. Or I mean, obviously you did when it was being built, but the fact that we never even got in and just only ever talked to door people, but just had such a blast doing that.
Their presence. Also, Navarre camp is right next door to Orc camp, and when they kick off with the drumming and the yelling, don't know what they're up to in there, Ian.
It's ritualistic combat or something.
Don't know what they're up to.
It's great.
But man, it sounds like a real good time if you're on their side. If you just wandered in there...
I think, like, the
also,
idea...
don't be a dick. Don't just wander in the Orc camp.
No.
That's another thing, Let them do their thing.
Let them do their thing. I think that is their thing, is that they have that really cool kind of slightly sort of stepped away from the Empire kind of...
One thing I want to know is, I want to have a conversation with an Orc about... how would you like it if Navarre put a man on the front door and went no orc?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not really saying no orc, sorry, no human, are they?
No,
they're saying
no.
like,
I think they've been like no human or no one at all.
No, I think they've been like, because they have this thing, and this is a really cool bit of flavour.
Yeah,
is that you have to have a weapon.
Yes,
and I love it.
And you can't go by yourself.
And you can't go by yourself.
Because then you're up to no good.
Yeah, I just love it. The idea that if you go without a weapon, you're disrespecting them. Or you're
by yourself without a weapon, you're being a dick about it.
Oh, it's so good. They are. And it's just the way you
check me.
We get stopped and they're like, oh, they are.
Yeah, if you don't like people laying hands on you, do not go to a camp. Because they literally checked my shit. They were like, they fucking
so good.
Grabbed got a weapon, they looked at it, and then it was like, and it was all just like, man, like, this is the real world, I would be about to get shot. You know, it was stabbed or something.
So good. But so the orcs were fantastic.
Top. Friday evening, we went off and I think we did a fair amount. I did a fair amount of drinking, and then we headed out and then did a bit of your stuff with those nice young men in that camp.
Yeah. So I'd kind of set up this thing before with these. This group who are another new group of players from Eurozone. And I just basically wanted to see this storyline over there. For it'd just be a way of knowing other people, having some kind of storyline. I thought really I just wanted us to have some way to sort of have an into some part of the story. It didn't actually end up working that way, but that was the idea was
it provided
a talking point, right?
RP
that's
for
what
us.
I wanted. Yeah, that's where I wanted it. I wanted it to use it as like an RP moment for us, something that we could talk about. And like you ended up bouncing off it really well. And actually, in a way, I think your performance in the kind of the role playing sense around that situation was actually probably better than my performance doing it in a sense.
Well, I mean, again, I would say a lot of this stuff is basically we hiked out there. It's shit weather. It's
It was
awful. It's muddy.
dark then as well.
It's dark and it's muddy.
Yeah.
We're literally running around a camp, and I think we're all feeling a bit like holy shit at this point. And we bumped into the first group of lads that we bumped into. You asked them, "We're looking for these lads." They went, "Well, that's us."
And that was one of those things where it's like I thought, I just naturally anticipated as if it was a movie or as if it was.
There's no one outside. There's no one outside. It's dark. There's just one group of shadows.
And I thought like they're either going to say, they're not here, or they're going to say over there, and I would have that moment of over there-ness to actually get ready with the spiel I wanted to come out with, which was again tragic backstory because I'm a noob. But
it's a tragedy.
Tragedy. What a tragic backstory.
It's an absolute tragic backstory.
So I delivered that. Sort of went through that experience, and I just thought it was one of those things where it's best just to sort of walk away and not role play it further, because it was one of those things where I'd kind of shot my load in a sense in terms of like role playiness in that moment.
There's like a weird adrenaline and an adrenaline dump.
Yeah.
Right. Because you'd built up to this thing.
Yeah.
For like I'd invested a fair amount. You were heart and soul into, and you'd been like, oh man, I'm going to do this, or whatever. I'm going to send this message off. And you went out there and you literally went, bum, 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 and then you were like, fuck, I've run out of shit to say. Yeah. I came here to almost make a statement.
Yeah.
And now the statement's been made. I'm just going to fuck. And I think it was really interesting as RP.
Yeah.
And then I thought that was a really good, nice learning experience and how that all worked out. But immediately afterwards, there was just like context for us to actually fucking talk to each other.
Yeah, in
right?
character.
A lot of RP, the reason why it sucks so hard and it's really hard to do is fucking context. That was like, it was opening a fucking door for me, Ian. I was like, oh, it's Wizard of Oz, right? It's all black and white, camera pans around, and then suddenly it's Technicolor and there's midgets running around and it's fucking amazing and people are singing, right? That's what it was like for me, because we started heading away. I'd had a couple of drinks and I just started yelling at you because you'd done some stuff that wouldn't have made my character Irfan happy, and you talked down about yourself over the time that we'd spent together, and I kind of lit you up.
Yeah.
And I was just like, right, let's go and I was like, let's not talk about it anymore. Let's go and get shit-faced.
Yeah.
And we're just off Wintermark, which is one of the largest nations. They're fucking ridiculously big.
Ridiculous.
Had this bar. We walk in there and it's just like, it was just like, I'm RPing, right? And it was good. And it was like, so I'm walking through, there was a briar there, the tree man.
The tree man was there.
So I was
like on the way in, bear in mind, he'd just been fired up talking some stuff to me. And then straight there at the door is the briar guy.
It was so good. Like if it had
rush in and you're like, it's not even human or something.
Yeah, I'm just talking shit like that crazy son of a bitch in a bar. Like I keep on looking at a lad. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm just fucking staring at you because you've done something I don't like. I'm like that with a fucking briar, right? Heading to the bar,
and I'm sort of like at that point I'm trying to like just push you slightly to the front of the bar. That kind of thing.
Loud, and we're having a good time. The whole bar's pumping at this stage. We order some meats.
Yeah.
Head down, go in front of the table, and there's just these, and then the whole bar's packed, and then we turn around, and then a whole back section of the bar's empty. So I just start talking to these people, which I'm known to do. This isn't like an RP thing. I just chat to random people, and they're like, oh yeah, it was a bunch of people. They were on a pub crawl. Now they've all left, and we're like, oh, because I was chatting to them. So I was chatting to them, one thing led to another. We're RPing with each other, right?
Yeah.
Me and these two random guys.
Just three of us are sitting on one side of the bench, two of them on the other.
Yeah, but what we're talking about which is I think really important for me when I RP now, context.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Jotun, who are like these orcs. They're the people that we've been in their land for these last 3 years. We're not a big fan of them, but we respect them.
Yeah.
And we're basically talking to these two guys about the Empire. We're talking about
trying to learn all this stuff.
We're talking about in context of other nations.
Yeah.
There are certain stereotypes that come with different nations, right? And you can joke to other nations about them, right? So say if there's a guy from Wintermark, you can have a good old giggle with him about Dawn, for example, right?
Yeah. That was
or
cool.
the Brass Coast, or whatever the fuck. Or what was the conversation? Something about the Brass Coast or something. And we went, what good comes out of the Brass Coast? And I went, well, their women aren't bad. And then we went, great, the Brass Coast, and we all cheered. I have no idea if the brass coat women are attractive or not, but in the context of that RP moment, fucking great times. Do you know what I mean?
Good.
Like
Really
they were
good.
really nice guys. Another guy shows up, bottle of mead.
Yeah.
So I make
That
an
was
absolute
nice.
hatchet job of trying to get, like, they can't undo it, so I have to get one of them had a knife. So I took the top off with a knife.
Yeah.
And then we had drinks, shenanigans,
That was great.
and head off. And
They
that,
were
that for
really,
me,
again, really generous with RP. And I tell you another interesting
so
thing
good.
is that kind of way that you kind of flick the switch on RP.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, like almost like revving an engine, and you have to go a certain speed where you enter RP, and sometimes you actually dip below it.
Wow, that is an excellent way to put it. That is exactly how I kind of...
You know what I mean? So
Totally. So you can't go fresh, right?
Yeah.
You can't knock on my tent door.
Yeah.
I'm lying down. I've
Yeah.
just been like, what the fuck? Hello? Hi. Oh, sorry, let me get my kit on or whatever. And that is at 0 RPM, right?
Yeah.
Right after doing a charge in battle
Yeah.
and finding you surviving after a battle,
Jesus, yeah.
1,000 RPM, you might
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Well past the 150 threshold it takes to RP.
No, so it's like, yeah, and that is kind of interesting, because I find it interesting as you're talking to someone, you'll maybe have a sentence, 2 sentences of RP, and then you'll say something that's almost out of character. The level of out of characterness that you do is kind of like right on the fringe where it would actually be out of character.
We played a lot, like with the orc story. We spoke a lot about, like, oh, it was very foggy when we first got here this morning.
Exactly.
And it was like, we just kind of, but you can have a conversation. Basically, I basically did me, but actually, we'll talk about a lot of that stuff later on, because I've got there's some really interesting stuff about how you suddenly realise RP doesn't have to be you.
Yes.
And I would say that's a really interesting thing.
Well, I think you can get into
took
that
me
now.
a while.
Do
you want to talk about that? So, I found it really interesting how some people are blunt.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're more experienced players. Why are they being blunt with me? Because they're RPing.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like, then I realised I try and be nice to everybody.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like whenever my social conditioning is, I'm a fairly amicable guy, right? Like, you know, in RP and LARP, you can you can express sides of your personality or react in different ways that you're not necessarily allowed to. That doesn't mean you have to be a fucking asshole and just be horrible to everyone. But there are things that you can start to be like, I'm going to choose a different path because this is RP land.
And I think, in a way, if you think about it, a lot of this stuff is based off that noob thing of you've probably got a tragic backstory, and that probably explains why your character is a bit closed about something. And that noobish thing of actually having a tragic backstory.
But having character breakthroughs, they happen, and we heard of a few of them. I had a couple of moments. I haven't had in any story you have an arc, a character arc. I haven't finished my character arc. Some people had major moments of that character arc happen that weekend. That changed their personalities and changed their story. And it's like, that shit's fucking bad.
That's crazy, dude. So we talked to this guy, really great pair of dudes, actually.
Yeah,
thank you so much for talking us through it.
Massively, right? Really good. We should just move forward, right?
Yeah.
So the first night, very uncomfortable.
I think
Mud
so.
everywhere. Not great, right?
Yeah.
We'll just move on from that.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, it's battle time.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
We're
Saturday
nervous
morning.
at this point. And
I am. We know that we didn't find out that we were orking till quite late on, right?
Yeah, because it gets posted on the toilet doors. But I think
The meeting went late and we woke up late.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the meeting, I mean the generals or whatever.
and it takes way longer than you think. By the way, guys, to get
Leaving-
ready.
Oh god, leaving the tent. Anytime you have to leave the tent became our boots were covered in mud, even despite us trying to clean them.
Yeah.
Getting in and out was a pain in the arse. Trying to keep mud off everything was a pain in the arse. And there's 3 of us and only one exit, so it takes us that long each of us to get out.
Yeah.
By the time we actually got down there, it was like last call for orcs, right?
Yeah.
So we had to run up there. They were like, it looked like a really well laid out thing. We just got there really late, so they were like, stand here. These are the rules. This is what your character is. You go with this unit. Here's a mask. Here's a fucking thing to put around your arm.
Really good, actually. By the way,
it was cool.
They're really generous of them.
There's people there to paint your face. There's like everything's in an assembly line, and then you're just like, right, and away you go. And basically, the battle was the Yunton, which was us, as got these face masks on with they're orcs, and you look Like, I had to
You
recognize.
look like an orc.
I recognized you from your clothing.
Yeah, I did the
That's
same.
how
That's
I
how
just had to be
found
like,
you.
what are you wearing? Not that I ever noticed that stuff, but this time, what's he wearing? Right, that's what he looks like. Okay.
Yeah, that was cool.
Got given a unit, and basically the idea was we go out there, we're elite forces. We were Navarre. We were
Yeah.
extremely light.
So
we were not.
Yeah, we were
hardcore.
heavy skirmishers.
The
weren't we?
idea was that we were going to pop in.
Yeah.
If they weren't going to break within 12 to 17 seconds or something,
Yeah, we were supposed to
going
pull
pop
out.
back.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're up against there was Wintermark. Who was the other lot?
I think there was the
It wasn't
Dawn, was it?
Dawn.
Dawn and maybe the Marchers or something.
Yeah, because they had some
Crazy
seriously
shit.
fucking
Crazy shit.
that shield wall of.
The Wintermark shield, we'll get to it.
So
but
we-
Jesus.
So we all come out, got our stuff. We got, by the way, bring water. We
Yeah.
smartly did bring water, and it was awesome. And no one had water around us, so we helped a lot of people
And it's
out.
cool. It's nice to
but-
pass it around.
Yeah,
but
but
it would be
people need
useful
to
if they
bring
brought their
water,
own,
man,
yeah.
because that shit was you're gonna end up in trouble if you don't.
Yeah.
March out there, whole big field, woods on our left. Not allowed to go in the fields.
Yeah.
Not allowed to go in the woods. Sorry, only stay on the field. So we're on the field, marching out there. And then I'm feeling pretty confident at this point, right? They've told us some shit to talk. These are stuff about the enemy. You can yell baby killers at them. You know, we're hype, right?
Yeah,
like,
we
we're
are
really
hyped.
up for
It's
it.
really good.
And it's slowly like, yeah, we can have this fight. And if we die, it doesn't matter, right? We can just go
Yeah.
and respawn. It's fucking awesome.
So that's one of the things. Only me and you went because we said earlier Bungle
Yeah.
because of the ground being so bad. I think he was worried about getting
Yeah.
mud in his dreadlocks, which would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, so just the two of us went.
Yeah.
But it was really good because you could do a battle with no fear of death.
Yeah.
You
But
know.
at this stage, start to see how the land's holding up.
Yes.
The land is not holding up well, right?
No.
It's got big
No.
water patches in it. It's muddy.
Yeah.
Even us walking across it start to show that the grass is getting ripped up.
Yeah.
And we're as we're walking across, there's a light rain as well. Was it raining?
Yeah, it was raining. I think it was a misting at least.
And I start seeing the enemy forces, the human, like the Empire forces,
Yeah.
heading out into the fields. And gee whiz, there sure are a shit ton of them,
Yeah.
right?
See, there's a lot more of them than us, Dave.
A,
I
le-
must say.
a lot more, Ian. A lot more. And the thing was that so we all start moving forward. I'm fucking hyped still, right?
You're
I'm
shouting
like,
at them. You're giving them
literally,
shit.
I'm walking out of line. I'm fucking having a go at them. I'm like, oh, come on. They start to back off a little bit. I'm so cocky. I'm like, I'm a football hooligan. We're supposed to be Uton, so I was, you know, in my regiment or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was certainly letting them know what I thought of them, Ian.
Yeah.
You know, no uncertain terms. And but yeah, and then we started to move forward. And we engage with them, and there's someone there, and they're right in front of me, and I'm fighting an actual person with these like latex things. I'm suddenly like, man, this does not give me the reach, right? And
You learn very, very quickly. The shield walls and spears are amazing.
There are so many lessons I learned in not very long amount of time because we missed all the battle stuff because we got there too late and we couldn't get down there in time. So for us, it was more like we were just. And I'm just trying to stab these guys, and it's all kicking off, and then everything's going well. Everything felt like it was going well, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly there was an order to start to withdraw. We start to take a few steps back. A couple of people slip here and there.
That's the thing. Because you soon realise that like skirmishing relies on a certain amount of mobility and the ability to actually fall back.
Yes.
And people slipped a whole bunch because the ground was obviously not great, which was really
a
cool.
lot of inexperience. A lot of inexperienced
Yeah.
people as well, because people just turned their backs and ran, and that was like a death sentence for anyone around them and them, and it was just carnage.
Yeah.
Like it was just, and you're dead.
Well, I think what really did it was because we pulled back, and then we'd been having a fair bit of we never really were on the upper hand, but we had them at like a stalemate of pokey basically.
Was that when the shield wall
and
came in?
then that's when the Wintermark shield wall came
my
in.
God, because that
and
was...
then I remember like we were on the left-hand flank, and then we looked to the left, and there's this
that
Wintermark shield wall.
Fucking shield
And
wall.
I'm like, you know...
I can see it, Ian. I can see it right now. The fucking shiny, the giant shields, the weapons, and then the fucking smug look on their fucking faces as they headed out, knowing that they were just about to give us a fucking battering. And when they hit us, it was like a fucking freight train. Nothing stood, Ian.
No,
nothing. It was a unit broken.
Yeah.
As soon as it made contact, like matter meets antimatter. bam!
Boom!
Fucking dead orcs everywhere.
It was
just
crazy.
They walked over me like I was a non-event. I didn't. They wasn't even. They were not even recognised as being something that they should even. You're a dead thing, and I'm gonna kill more things, so they're dead things too.
It was so good, and and it showed you what was really interesting because obviously there's a little bit of sort of military history nerd in both of us, but it shows you that whole thing of like how quickly a unit can be decimated.
The route
and
is
actual real routing. You know what I mean? And real things of like, it happens. Like a unit breaks to a point where it has to flee.
Man, when the guy next to you turns, if he turns and tries to run away, you're fucked. You're so dead. Because from the other point of view, when you're attacking a regiment of troops, you're constantly looking for the one that stands out.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you're a couple of feet ahead of the other chaps, are you? Well, me and my mate, we're going to fucking stab you up. Because you stepped out the line. Well, you're in that little line.
Yeah.
You can step back if you get hit too much.
Well, that was the polearms and shields, man. It was just so like when the thing is, it went from being against like. Because it went from being against people with like medium shields and polearms to being against people with heavy shields. Man, they look
scared. I was fucking. That's why I was yelling so much. Like some of them genuinely look fucking concerned. I was just like,
I took one
I'm gonna eat your fucking liver. Do you know what I mean?
Do this thing where you'd get them to poke at somebody, and then I'd sort of dash in. And I got this guy, and I got him a few times, and he went down. That was really satisfying. I was like, my first action as an orc, I've killed a guy. Well, not killed a guy, taken a guy down. He's probably getting medic, but they were so organised with that. People who were injured just instantly replaced.
That wall was like. It's like playing whack-a-mole, right? You try and take someone down, and but
we just didn't have the weapons for it.
Okay, but that's not what the point of monstering is.
Yeah, that's not what the point of monstering is.
Okay?
That's very interesting.
We were trying to be really good, but luckily we were complete shit.
Yeah,
right.
And we got rolled. We got rolled.
Ruckety rude.
From that moment, by the way, it was like never at any point did we propose a threat as a military force.
No, absolutely. We kept on going back to the respawn area, getting called out. And then it was just like, other side of the field this time, we're moving around, feeling pretty good. We're going to flank them, and there's another force there that's going to, look at them stretching their line out. And then you suddenly realise, we're the ones having our line stretched out because there's more of them than us.
And they're going to flank us because there's another bunch who are just turning
So we're
around.
Like, fuck, we gotta get involved here. So I start moving forward to try and engage this line, stop them moving too much. And then out of fucking nowhere, our right flank is just, they're behind us. I hear it, they're behind us! And it's just, they're on us. And they're stabbing us. And there's a guy next to me, and I'm like, "Why are you stabbing? Oh, you're you know, like
that happened, and to me as well, it was just so crazy. Again, we got completely rolled up. But as you say, your death is very well served as a monster in LARP, and I think like and
to go against a really good team of monsters taught me a lot. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I twist my knee.
Yeah.
During that battle, right? I know I can feel it, and it feels a bit dodgy, right? And I said to you immediately, something's going on with my knee. Yeah. I hope it's not bad, but it's feeling a bit funky. Yeah. We head out, we got some food, walking back to the tent, and it's not going well. My knee, the weather, the cold, right? And we also did a whole bunch of falling down on the ground because it turns out the Wintermark shield wall doesn't want you to slowly get down where you can rest on your shield, maybe, so you don't get wet. They are moving
a steamroller,
just a fucking wrecking machine. Oh my goodness!
I got pushed to the ground. It was like
just surrender. If you see the Wintermark shield wall, just lie down on the ground. I know it's so muddy. Bad. I know it's muddy. Just lie down. It's going to be easier this way.
I'd best be off. I've just spotted the militia. Despite there not being a dungeon that can hold me yet, I don't want to put that to the test.
There he is.
Hopefully we'll meet again, and I can continue the tale of the noobs at LARP. Cheerio!